Hello, today we're going to combine lesson 510 and 511, and we are going to, by the end, you're going to say, I can round and sort big numbers. So let's look at this question. A newspaper reported that 20,344 participants ran in the 2004 Boston Marathon. I want you to stop and think about if that number is exactly correct. And think about why you feel that way. So let's look again at some other data. In 1994, they had 9,059, and in 2004, they had 20,344. How do you think they got those numbers? Do you think those numbers are exact? Those numbers are pretty close to exact because they can track how many people are running in the marathon based on how many numbers they sold. You can also tell it's not a rounded number, which means it's pretty close to exact. Today what we're going to talk about is rounding numbers to different place values. So if I wanted to round this number to the nearest hundred, there's a few steps I would need to do. First of all, I would mark the digit in the place that I'm rounding to. So I want to round to the nearest hundred, so I'm going to mark right here. The 3 is in the hundreds place. Now I replace all the digits to the right of my place with zeros. This is our lowest number. So if this was my number I was starting with, 20,300 would go on the low end. Add one digit to the place I'm rounding to. This is the higher number. So now I know that 20,344 is between 20,300 and 20,400. Now I want to ask myself, is the number I am rounding closer to the lower number or the higher number? Well, in this case, I know that 44 is less than 50, so I know 344 is closer to 300 than it is to 400. So 20,344 rounded to the nearest hundred would be this one, 20,300. First seat work page today is page 132, and what you're going to be doing is using this data to round to the nearest 100,000. So you always want to look at the number in the 100,000 spot, use the digits behind it to decide how you're going to round. So if I have 2,603,000, well, here's my 6 in the 100,000 spot. Well, I see a 0. A 0 would mean that I don't round up, so this one would be 2 million, sorry, this is hard to write, 600,000. And I want you to go through and do the rest on this page. After you've finished, we're going to move on to lesson 511. And this, now what we're going to talk about is we're going to look at big numbers again, and we're going to compare them and decide which one's bigger. So this is how tall the two tallest mountains in the world are. K2 is 28,250 feet tall. Everest is 29,028 feet tall. Which digits tell you that Everest is taller? Well, I see that these are both 2's and they are in the 10,000 spot. If I go to the 1,000 spot, I see there's an 8 and a 9. So I know it's the 1,000 spot that tells me that Everest is taller. For the second part of your lesson today, you're going to need your student reference book. You're going to need to open to the World Tour section way in the back in the purple section. You're going to go to Region 2, and what you're going to do, here's all the countries. I want you to find the largest population, the smallest population, the largest area, the smallest area. So to find the population, I can see here, this is where I'm looking at for all the numbers. I want to look through and find the largest one. Just write the country and the population, and then find the smallest population. And when you get to area, here's area. They're all in square miles. And then the smallest area. You can do part 1. You're going to skip this one. Skip part 2. Also skip question 3. So all you're going to need to do today for seat work is finish page 132, and then on page 134 you only need to do question 1. If you finish both of those, you can work on math box 5.11, and then you can play multiplication wrestling. So that's your only work today. Page 132, 134, question 1, and math box 511.